everybody. Come on in. This is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. We're going to start in just a little bit. I give a little bit of time for people to get in and share. Please share. It's important to share little shows like this. We're an independent little show, and I appreciate the hell out of you sharing it because that's what gets it out to people. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here talking to myself about conspiracies, and I don't want that. Then I'd need a tinfoil hat for real. Then it would really be a tinfoil hat situation. But come on in. I'm just going to make sure that we're up and live everywhere. Looks like we're good on YouTube. So comment, guys, on YouTube and participate in the show. Periscope's up. So we're good there. You guys are usually a quiet bunch, but comment. This is a participation show. We are also on VK, and that's in Russia. So we are getting conspiracies out to everybody tonight. We're going to drop some truth bombs. I need one more platform to stream to, though. So if you know any good platforms for sharing out truth, getting truth out there, let me know so I can get on them. I got one more I can do. I can stream to 5 places with the service that I pay for. So if you know of another good one, let me know. I'm trying out VK, so hello to everybody on VK, and please comment, take part in the show. I will check for your comments and look at those and involve you in the show later on. We get more into talking back and forth. That's how this always goes. But our main topic tonight, our featured topic, is about the incident at Ruby Ridge. Now, the video I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit is a brief intro into the story of Ruby Ridge. We're going to get into it much deeper after the video. It's only about a 10-minute video that I'm going to show you guys tonight, and that'll be on YouTube right after the feed. So right now, this is the only place to see this original debut video of a little mini doc, like a 10-minute mini doc on the Ruby Ridge incident. This happened. This is real. It's fascinating. We're going to go way into it, and I want to answer any questions. I've been researching it for 2 weeks now, basically. Excuse me. But nonstop for about 2 weeks, I've been researching Ruby Ridge, and it is very, very fascinating stuff. But let me see who's here. I haven't shared it at all yet. Paul's here. Hey, Paul, top fan. You got your own badge. I see that you've done that. You've given yourself a badge. That's awesome. I admire it. Badges are cool, and I don't have them on my personal page. I should be able to give out badges, and you would definitely get one, Paul. So, yeah. Hey, Jennifer. How you doing? I haven't gotten your bumper sticker in the mail yet, but I am going to get it in the mail. It's in my desk. I've been using it during the shows on the Daily Burn to promote the bumper stickers. But I'm gonna get it in the mail for you. All right. I will make that a priority. I'm gonna put that on my list of things to get done. So that's been bugging me. Because I want that thing on your car. I want you driving around and promoting it. Hey, Nissa. Good to see you. I'm gonna do a little bit of sharing. Just a little bit. Whoops, I accidentally started a watch party. I apologize to everybody in this group. I started a watch party in your group on accident. I meant to share, and I started a watch party. This is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Welcome. Please don't be mad. And we're going to watch a video coming up on Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge is a time in our country's history where our government severely overstepped their bounds. They raided a family's personal property and killed 3 members of this family. And the video is going to get into it more than that, and we're going to get into it even deeper than that after the video. But the way this show usually works, just to give you an idea, especially since I just started a watch party on accident and I brought in a lot of people. Thanks for coming, by the way. Welcome. This is a conspiracy theory show, although tonight's topic is not a conspiracy. Tonight's topic is real. It's just hidden truth. It's buried and suppressed. So, what we're going to talk about tonight, there are conspiracies tied to it and conspiracies that feed off of it, but it's real. This really happened. Everything we're going to get into tonight is real. But after the video, we always talk. This is audience participation. So please feel free to take part in the show and talk back and forth, and we'll have a good discussion about this and anything else you want. Because as you'll see, this ties into, through Alex Jones mostly, to 9/11 even, which is one of my favorite topics. But I was amazed at how often in my research that came up. And it usually came up to discredit Alex Jones. Like they would mention it like, because Alex Jones was there and covered this, and so did William Cooper, a hero of mine in the truth movement. He was there also and covered it. And I listened to a lot of his coverage, preparing for this show, and they're pretty good shows. I want to say that you should look them up. The Hour of the Time, William Cooper, and look them up and listen to his coverage of Ruby Ridge. So he was there and he covered the event really well. I'm going to try to do honor to his memory with this little show. But that's the way it works, and we just hang out and talk. So anything you want to know or ask, feel free to ask it and participate in the show. And let's see. There were difficulties in this research, though, I will say, before we start. And there will be other views presented. And that is because I try to find the truth of the situation, which often lays in the gray area, right? There are versions of this story from the side of the Weavers, and who I personally do side with in this event. I think anybody has to. But they'll paint them into, you know, a pristine corner where they're perfect and not guilty of anything. And then there's the side what paints them as villains. Even paints Vicky Weaver as some kind of a psychic, and that she had mind powers over the clan and was the ringleader. They considered her dangerous. Had orders to kill on sight, which I'm ruining too much from the video. But we're going to get into all this in the video and then after the video too. And that's what this show is. But I had difficulties in the research. This is a buried truth. Like I said, this is usually a conspiracy theory show, but a lot of what we talk about on this show is true. Many conspiracies are grounded in truth and have turned out to be true, many of them. It's just a fact. So a lot of this is rooted in truth. We can get into wild things. Sometimes we do. We did a flat earth show recently. But tonight's is real, and we're going to go ahead. I think we've given people time to get in, you know. It looks like a good group is here. Gino says Illuminati. Oh, yeah, I like that. I think that's a little catchy little phrase for the show. But I think we're going to start the video. We've given enough time for people to come in. But what this is I'm going to bring the film strip in, and then I'm going to play the video that I made. I made a short video for YouTube and for you guys about Ruby Ridge. Just something basically introductory level that the average person could watch and get something out of, and be compelled to dig deeper, so that it would be a conversation starter for us tonight, but then something good on YouTube in the future as far as waking people up and getting them to look into this buried piece of history. I think that would be very good thing. So I did this to raise awareness. That's what it's for. But let me bring in the film strip and we'll watch the video I made you guys. I don't know why I call this a film strip. I guess because I have to bring it in like that, and I know it looks bad for just a second. I will figure out one day how to do that better. But here's the video I made you guys, and afterwards we'll hang out and talk about it. Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. On this episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill, we're going to discuss the brutal 11-day standoff that happened at Ruby Ridge. Now, this story is not a conspiracy theory, but rather a hidden truth. What we're going to discuss tonight is all real and verifiable, and I encourage you to look it up for yourself. This horrible event that I'm about to describe to you took place in real life in the United States, not a movie, and it is proof that the government can and will infringe on our constitutional rights and use lethal force in doing so. Ruby Ridge is the story of an 11-day armed standoff between a family that was trying to live off the grid and the U.S. government's alphabet agencies, specifically the USMS, the FBI, and the ATF. Now, this story begins with Randy Weaver and his wife Vicki, who decided to move to the woods of northern Idaho to live and raise their family away from what they considered to be an evil and corrupt society. They wanted to live off of the land and homeschool their children. They wanted to be free to live their lives as they chose, so they started a new life and began to do just that. Randy and Vicki bought 20 acres of land at Ruby Ridge and built a cabin for themselves in the wilderness. They learned to live without electricity and provided food for themselves from hunting and farming their land. The Weavers believed that the apocalypse was imminent and that society was evil and going to fail. So they had unplugged from the broken system that they felt was dying off and were living the life that they had chosen for themselves, free and self-sustaining. Now, whether or not you agree with Randy and Vicki Weaver about the state of the world and the coming apocalypse, you should at least be able to agree that they had the right to live as they chose. This is a free country after all, right? That's what I was taught in school. We have freedoms, we have rights, we have protections, or do we? The Weavers were putting that to the test and were thriving for quite a while. That is until the government took an interest in them. Not long after the government's alphabet agencies took that interest in the Weavers, their life that they had built for themselves and their family ended abruptly. For 3 members of the Weaver family, Randy's wife, Vicki, 14-year-old son Samuel, and family dog Stryker, that end was quite literal, as they were all murdered by federal agents during the raid of their own property. This happened, and we will go into the details, but let's start with why. Why did these federal agencies target the Weavers? What justified them raiding the Weavers' property? Why did these agents have to use lethal force in the raid, especially in the case of the murder of Vicki Weaver, who was unarmed when killed and holding her infant child in the doorway of her own home? Well, it turns out that all of this started with a court dispute over a land deal and some wild accusations. Randy Weaver and a neighbor had a dispute over a $3,000 land deal, and the neighbor lost his suit against Randy. After not only being defeated in court, but having to pay thousands in damages to the Weavers, the neighbor decided to get revenge by reporting Randy to the U.S. government. The neighbor started a letter writing campaign to the FBI, the Secret Service, and the local sheriff's office, alleging that Randy Weaver had threatened to kill the Pope, the President, and the Governor of Idaho. This allowed the FBI and other alphabet agencies to categorize Weaver as a person of interest, and they did just that. By the beginning of the next year, the FBI and Secret Service had begun an investigation into the Weavers. The Secret Service was told that Randy Weaver was a member of the Aryan Nation and had a large weapons stash at his property. And the Weavers were interviewed multiple times, but no charges were filed. The Weaver family made attempts to report that they were being harassed and slandered, but no one listened to their complaints, and the poking and prodding of this family by the alphabet agencies continued on. The ATF became interested in Randy through his connection with the Aryan Nation and an informant that they had inside the group. They allege that in October of 1989, Randy sold this informant two sawed-off shotguns. And this was used to go after Randy. And they did arrest him, but after being released on bail, Randy Weaver did not return for trial and a bench warrant was issued on the weapons charges. Now, there are many details in this story that I have left out for the sake of time, but this whole investigation into Randy Weaver was orchestrated and designed. The case against him reeks of entrapment, and they didn't even have a solid case. As far as Randy not appearing for his trial, there are conflicting reasons for that as well. And the biggest reason is that as a survivalist that lived off the land, had no electricity, and lived in the wilderness, Randy was a little hard to get a hold of. So we have a trumped up case started by gossip and slander against Randy Weaver that somehow his wife is also dragged into, although she hasn't committed a crime. She is a person of extreme interest in the FBI and ATF's investigations, and is even considered by the FBI at least to be the ringleader of the Weaver clan. But still, how does this lead to a raid and 11-day standoff resulting in multiple deaths? Well, it turns out that they were afraid to arrest Weaver and afraid to enter his property, so they surveilled him by helicopter. And in April of 1992, they alleged that Randy Weaver had shot at their surveillance helicopter. And this led to 6 overeager U.S. Marshals, heavily armed and camouflaged, being sent to the Weaver property without a warrant to gather information on the Weaver compound. These marshals entered the property illegally and threw rocks at the cabin to test the dogs' reaction. Once they had alarmed the dogs, 14-year-old Samuel Weaver and family friend Kevin Harris came out of the cabin to see what the dog was barking at, and thinking that it was an animal, they headed out to hunt because the cabin was low on meat. When the two emerged from the cabin, the marshals attempted to hide, but the dog found them, and in the ruckus, the agents killed the boy's animal. When this happened, young Samuel fired back, and a firefight began between Kevin, Samuel, and the marshals. Samuel was killed in the exchange, and Kevin was also shot and injured, but not fatally, and he got away after killing a U.S. Marshal. Through this exchange, the standoff had begun, and all the alphabet agencies rolled into place surrounding the Weaver property and flooding the area. FBI snipers were brought in and deployed in the woods, and one happened upon a clean shot at an unarmed Vicky Weaver in the doorway of her cabin holding her infant child in her arms. This sniper, who was 100 feet away and had a clear view that Vicky was unarmed, pulled the trigger anyway and blew Vicky's head clean off as she stood in the doorway to her own home holding her baby. Vicky Weaver had committed no crime and was no danger to these men, and an innocent bystander to the entire incident. When she was killed, neither Randy or Kevin were even in the cabin, and both were taking positions hiding from the agents out in the woods. Vicky Weaver was murdered in cold blood, holding not a gun, but an infant to her breast. Days later, Kevin surrendered, and soon after that, Randy was finally apprehended. But both men were acquitted of all charges, including Kevin, who had killed a U.S. Marshal. The government was found to be at fault, and civil suits were even filed by both Kevin and Randy Weaver, with Kevin finally getting $380,000 in damages and Randy $3.8 million in damages. Since then, this story has been buried and forgotten about, but this is a cautionary tale that cannot be ignored and forgotten. The government is very capable and has committed horrific violations of our rights with the use of their various alphabet agencies. This threat remains, and freedom as we know it is an illusion. The militarization of our police has gotten to extremes, and one day this can and will all be used against us. Ruby Ridge is a warning to us all that those that are supposedly protecting us can and will be used to persecute us. It's happened before. It will happen again. Spread this hidden truth and help to inform people of what is really happening behind the curtain and what our government is really capable of. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you right here next time on Conspiracy Theories and Chill from me on Things and Stuff. All right, that was the video, but we're going to get more into it because there was way more. It could have been a lot longer of a video. I try to make the video for the show more of a conversation starter, something to get it going. So I wanted to give it in broad strokes and make it easy to take in for anybody that might be new to the story. But there's a lot more to it, and there's a lot more that took place afterwards. So we're going to get into that because Ruby Ridge, the incident at Ruby Ridge, ended up being the birth of the militia movement that has spread across this country and was used and still is used as recruitment by a lot of these groups for good reason. I mean, it's a horrible story. It really is. The government came out of it looking very, very bad. And then soon after, Waco happened, which was another nightmare publicly for the government. So those two incidences combined ended up moving things forward in the direction that they went. And even Timothy McVeigh is said to have been inspired by the events at Ruby Ridge and what happened there. But it's horrible, the story. And I started watch parties on accident. I started two, I think. I was trying to share. They really shouldn't do that. They have it where the watch parties are where groups used to be, and it's confusing. And I did a watch party, but now I can't get back to it. I gotta find it because I think a lot of the people that are here in that watch party, and I want to see your comments. But there we go. Here we are. Looks like there's some people here. Rhonda says, I remember Ruby Ridge. Hey, Rhonda. Hey, Gino. Now I can see the comments in the watch party. But Rhonda says the FBI was wrong how they handled Waco. They wrong doesn't even sum it up. I need to do a whole video on Waco because I realized researching the aftermath today that I could have done this on Waco and Ruby Ridge together, and I maybe should have, because a lot of what happened in Waco and Ruby Ridge tie in together really closely. But I didn't fully research Waco, except there's one statistic it just was really disturbing, and that was the 76 dead Branch Davidians. These were, maybe you didn't agree with the way they were living, but the way that was handled was very wrong. And the government came out of that looking very bad. And it just goes to show you that these people will follow orders and that those in power will give those orders to infringe on our rights and to kill American citizens. They had orders to kill Vicki Weaver on sight. Now, they had her considered as the most dangerous of the Weaver clan. She hadn't committed any crime. You know, they had Randy because of the weapons charges. They sorry, I heard something weird. It's probably the FBI kicking in my front door for doing a conspiracy theory show. But they had got him on weapons charges. They got him to sell two sawed-off shotguns. I talked about it briefly in the video, but an informant in the Aryan Nation that the FBI had in the Aryan Nation, or was it the Secret Service? I lose track. There was a lot of agencies involved in looking into the Weavers, but they had an informant in the Aryan Nation, and that informant got Randy to sell him two sawed-off shotguns. But Babos, before the show, brought it to my attention. I hadn't stumbled across this piece of information, but that they had courted Randy to be an informant for the FBI. Now, that part I wasn't sure of, but they were afraid of him. They tricked him in the first arrest. When they arrested him, they tricked him, and it was all kinds of tomfoolery. It almost reads like an episode of Dukes of Hazzard. But he got out on bail, and when he got out on bail, he they changed his court date. They moved around the court dates, and there was all kinds of shenanigans really, and he can't be gotten a hold of. And a year and a half later, they're panicking and surveilling his property with a helicopter. And they claimed that he shot at the helicopter, but they ended up having to admit that he didn't. And there was no evidence that he did. It's just a whole mess. But these people were living on their own, away from society, and were, I believe, targeted. They got targeted because a neighbor started a letter writing campaign. I thought that was interesting too, that really this started over a $3,000 land dispute. The neighbor had sold Randy some land, and they had an argument over the land deal, and the neighbor had sued him, but Randy won the suit and ended up getting $2,000 in damages as well from the neighbor. The neighbor got mad, started a letter writing campaign to the FBI and the local sheriff, and I think the ATF as well, maybe even the Secret Service, saying that he was going to kill the president, the Pope, the governor of Idaho, do all kinds of things. So that brought all this attention onto him. But they were afraid of him. They were terrified of him. They had all these stories built up that he had this huge weapons cache at his home, and there's pictures of them from the helicopter footage with rifles. But it's like when they had the firefight with the marshals in the woods that we talked about in the video. They were hunting rifles. Kevin had a 30-06 and Samuel a 410. Those are hunting rifles. Matter of fact, that's what they thought was going on. The agents threw rocks at the house, and that's how they got them to come out. They stirred up the dog. The dog started barking. They thought it's seen an animal or something. They went out investigating. Randy went one way, Kevin and Samuel went the other way with the dog. The dog stumbled upon the agents. I'm sure of the fact that the dog is who found him, because the agents were trying to hide. They weren't supposed to be there. Then they end up killing Stryker, the dog, which sets off the boy. He returns fire, and the rest just snowballed into a disaster. All these government agencies swooped in, surrounded the property, went on for 11 days. And then the aftermath of it, all kinds of people flooded the area and came into that area. All kinds of far-right activists, all kinds of Second Amendment activists, all kinds of different groups, even white supremacists. The Aryan Nation was there and held massive protests. Anybody really in that has a problem with the government and a problem with infringing on rights was there protesting, and all kinds of independent media was there covering it. But they focus on Alex Jones and William Cooper because they can discredit both of them because they were conspiracy theorists, which is an easy way to discredit somebody. So it gives them the opportunity to discredit all the information that may have been released by that particular person. It's a ridiculous form of mind control, but it's something they've done for a long time. Even the term conspiracy theory is a weaponized term. It was weaponized by the CIA. James says, thanks for covering this. Thank you for being here and watching the show and hanging out with us. It's important to get this out. Babels is here on YouTube too. Hey, Babels. But it's important to get this out. This is a hidden truth. This is something, it's not a conspiracy, but conspiracies are tied to it. Like I said, Oklahoma City is tied to it, was birthed from it, you know, from what happened there, the bombing at Oklahoma City, which I want to get into because I'm saying that they say that that's what inspired him. I haven't looked into Oklahoma City. I again was afraid to bring some of these connections up because of that. Because I want to do a whole video on Oklahoma City, and I don't want to make any assumptions unfounded about that. But about Ruby Ridge, we can pretty much go on and on. But Bebo says this is absolutely a misuse of force. Didn't ask them to come out of the house. Law enforcement were hiding in the woods, didn't make their presence known. No, and they lured them out. They had no right to be there, the six marshals. So they get in this firefight with the boy and his friend, and they kill the dog and they kill the boy. And then what happens after is just disgusting. So Samuel is killed. Kevin kills a marshal, gets out of there. They get Samuel's body back to the cabin. But when Randy tries to come and look at Samuel's body, they shoot him. They have snipers in the woods. They shoot him. They injure Randy. Then he goes back into hiding. Kevin is terrified, probably. Has already been in a firefight with marshals. He's off hiding. Um, Vicky is at home with the children. There's a sniper 100 feet away. I keep forgetting his name because it's a foreign name and I'm terrible with names. But Lan Harushi or something like that. He was a Japanese sniper for for the FBI. He was a U.S. citizen, worked for the FBI. Just has a foreign name. But Babel says they shot Samuel in the back. It's disgusting. But what I was getting at right now is when they killed Vicky. So she was home with the kids and she's in the doorway of her own house holding the baby. They shot her in the face from 100 feet away, 100 feet away, unarmed, because they had her classified as a dangerous person, the ringleader of the whole clan. She'd never been charged with any crime. They had no evidence on Vicky Weaver and had her considered to be a violent person, a psychic. She was a psychic. You know, because the Weavers did have extreme beliefs. They believed that society was evil and was doomed to fail. They had unplugged from it. They had went off and done their own thing, and they ended up paying the ultimate price for that. You know, I don't think that the settlement does anything to erase what happened at Ruby Ridge. They killed the mother, murdered her. She was unarmed. They had no right to do that. Matter of fact, that sniper was almost prosecuted. The state almost made it possible to prosecute him, but federal agents have this protection, you know, and apparently are allowed to murder U.S. citizens. That's what they did. That's what he did. He's a murderer. Yeah, that's why I'm not that worried about not getting his name right. Babel's put it in the comments. Lon Haruchi. I was close. But yeah, he murdered Vicky Weaver. And Randy got 3.8 million, and this was 1992. I don't know when the settlement happened, but so 1990s money, 3.8 million. I don't know what that would be today. And then Kevin and he was shot, took place in a firefight with marshals. His life was on the line, had to hide in the woods for days. Standoff went on for 11 days. Had to have been terrified for his life, and he got $380,000 in compensation. That's crazy. That's crazy. They went into these people's property and killed their dog, killed their son, killed his wife, and got away with murder. And then they did it again, like a year later at Waco. And it is an important topic to cover. So uh, that's why we covered it, James. And it was also a recommendation. A friend of mine recommended this topic, but it's a great topic and it ties into other topics. And what amazed me when I was researching, and I've mentioned it a couple times, is how they use 9/11 in these articles on Ruby Ridge. Has nothing to do with 9/11. They would bring 9/11 into the discussion as a way to try and discredit any of the establishment narrative type sources because of Alex Jones's involvement in coverage. He covered Waco pretty heavily, you know. It was in the beginning of his career and it was a very big event. Why wouldn't he have been there covering it? And even a broken clock is right twice a day. I don't agree with Alex Jones. I think Alex Jones is controlled opposition. But William Cooper, I do agree with, and I think had a good intentions and was also there covering it, but it's also discredited because he covers conspiracies. Conspiracies are real. You know, even Alex Jones touches on real conspiracies. Like they're using the 9/11 truth involvement, Alex Jones's involvement with the 9/11 truth movement to discredit him. Well, the 9/11 official story doesn't stand up. How can that be used to discredit Alex Jones or William Cooper? But Kim says Oklahoma City was horrible. So many innocent children and people died. Yeah, and I want to cover that incident. And there's a couple of those kind of incidences that I want to cover because there is conspiracies still about Oklahoma City. And I really want to get into it. And what I try to do on this show is to look at it from all angles and find the truth. Like I said, it always lays in the gray area because you got sides of the Weaver story where, oh, he hung out with the Aryan Nation, but he wasn't in the Aryan Nation, and he it denies being in it, but he was connected. He was connected to them. He was very involved, you know, and that's more the truth of it. He probably never committed to the group and became an actual card carrying member, but he hung out with them a lot, went to a lot of their events and etc. So Larry says, I really remember Ruby Ridge very well. It was a horrible event in American history. Bo Gritz worked to bring it to an end, lest they all would have been deceased. He's right. I was going to cover that. They couldn't control it. It was out of control. There was so many people there protesting, and and rightly so. So they had to bring in somebody that the people would listen to because it couldn't be an authority figure. None of these people trust authority figures, and they don't have any reason to, really, if you think about it. Really think about it. Should you trust those in power? Haven't they proven over and over again that they're not to be trusted? I think they have. But comment, those of you watching on the main timeline over here on my Facebook page. Nobody's commented since BB says she shared. And thank you for sharing, by the way, BB. But it looks like there's 7 people here on the timeline. And there's also people in the watch party on QAnon, which thanks for being cool about. I'm sorry that I did that. It was an accident. I'm glad I did it, though. I like you guys. I like hanging out with y'all. James says Ruby Ridge showed me the potential power they had. I already read that, didn't I? Babel says he was a farmer and the government swooped in and tricked him and gave him the wrong court date and threatened to throw him off his land. Yeah, they were survivalists. They lived off the land. They learned to live without electricity. She says killed his son and the boy's dog and killed his wife the next day. It's horrible. And then a $3.8 million settlement. That's a spit in the face, really. Any amount wouldn't matter, wouldn't be enough, wouldn't be good enough, but 3.8 million, that's insulting. You know what I mean? That is insulting. And for Kevin was Samuel's friend, not Randy's. 380,000? They shot him. He killed that marshal, but he killed him in self-defense. They were in the right. They were hunting on their own property, like Babels is saying. They were in the right. Couldn't have been more right. The government was wrong. They were wrong to even be there. They had no right being there. No right at all. I must have gotten shut down on my timeline. But I've noticed people complaining about Facebook not working good today. So I'm not going to pay much attention to that. Helen says, where'd he go? Oh, I blacked out on Facebook? I hope I didn't black out everywhere. I was looking at YouTube and I was fine over here. So come to YouTube. I need to get subscribers anyway. Come to YouTube, Me on Things and Stuff on YouTube, and watch it with me and Babels and James. Hang out with us. We need more friends over here. And I want to get my subscribers up to 1,000. We're almost there, like 910. Please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. There's 4 here. Are all of you already subscribed? These are great shows. These are a great channel. You'll love it here. Please look around while you're here. Explore. But I must have blacked out. That's what they're saying. BB says clear here. Right on. I get throttled and messed with. It happens. It's something that I have to deal with. But unfortunately, Larry says the government wanted him to gather info on the militia group and to sell them a sawed-off gun, which he didn't go through with. What started the standoff? The government was the perpetrator. It was entrapment. Exactly. It was entrapment. Larry says send me a link to the YouTube. All right, let me figure it out. Let me leave Facebook on my phone and I'll go get the link. So I'll figure it out. But I'll keep rambling while I figure it out. Babel says law enforcement is always prosecuting people because of their beliefs rather than their actions. Law enforcement is going to be used against us. It is our enemy. We really need to look at it as such. They aren't there to protect and serve. You know, unfortunately. Wait a minute. I don't know how to figure this out. Let's see. Share. Copy link. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm coming back now, and I'm gonna put the link in the comment feeds so you guys can come to YouTube. But because Facebook is suppressing us. Let's see. Let me paste this for Larry and everybody that wants to come to YouTube. That is the link to this video on YouTube. And I'm going to put it in my timeline too. But let me know what you guys want to talk about. I've been rambling for 45 minutes about Ruby Ridge. We can get into anything at all that you want. I'm open to any conspiracy. And this one even ties into some. So we can talk about anything at all. And I am going to check in with Russia. VK. Isn't that cool? I think it's kind of cool. It's cool to me that we're streaming to Russia. I think that's neat. That's badass. I might be streaming to Russia. I don't know if I am or not. I may have already bugged him too much and gotten myself banned. James says when I chat here, it starts buffering the show. Really? That's unfortunate. I don't know how much of that will be fixed by the new computer, but we'll have a new computer really soon. And then I think that's going to fix a lot of the buffering stuff and then the lagging stuff. I'm trying to minimize how much of me is even on the screen to fight the lagging because usually the sound doesn't lag. The sound stays consistent, I've noticed on all platforms. It's just that on some platforms, the video will mess up. 47 minutes. If Lori was here, she would tell me I did a good job. I didn't like that for 47 minutes. But now the show's going to get better because once I light the cigarette, truth bombs start dropping a lot harder. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about stopping that rule. I try to make it a rule not to smoke during a live feed, but then it's all I think about. So now my mind is free. But what did I write down? I got 3 pages of notes here for our discussion. But what I found the most, though, was in my research, it is a hidden truth. They don't want you finding out. They don't want you getting to the bottom of this and really digging and getting at the truth. And then those trying to spread the truth are sometimes being too romantic about it. You don't have to romanticize it. He was involved with the Aryan Nation. He has every right to be. You don't have to agree with that. He has the freedom to do that. That's okay. It's America, right? I mean, you got to support things even that you don't agree with. It's not hurting you. He had the right to be involved with those people. That's not reason to persecute the man. So, but you don't have to paint him as a perfect person in order to make it seem wrong. See what I'm saying? So the truth of it is somewhere in the middle. Uh, Let's see. I was hoping there'd be some people here on VK, but I'm just starting out on VK. So if you come later on VK, this is a weekly show. We do this every week at the same time, 8 p.m. Central American time. It's weird talking to Russia. I think it's cool though, even though nobody's here. We're just building up a platform on these different networks. Like VK's brand new. Periscope, we just got back on. They banned me from Periscope for a little while. But YouTube's catching on. There's 4 here on YouTube. And well, now there's 3. And I shared the link. So I'm very disappointed in you guys that you didn't rush over to YouTube to see how great this show is. But it may have gotten shut down. And I haven't even talked about any of the hot button issues yet that you're not supposed to talk about currently. I haven't brought up the E word. I haven't brought up the J word. I haven't said them at all yet. 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 But I'm on 4 platforms, Facebook. You can't shut the whole thing down. You know, if you're on a platform that gets shut down, switch to another one. That's all I can tell you. We're going to keep going. But it looks like it's all on YouTube now to comment. So anything you guys want to get into, anything at all, just let me know and we'll get into it. Because that's what we do on Conspiracy Theories and Chill is hang out and talk conspiracies. But I took down a troll. That's a happy moment in my life. I took down a troll on Facebook. I never block. I try not to anyway. I do if they're attacking or being ignorant for no reason or just to be combative. I'll block in that instance. But I try not to. I try to be blocked. If it's gotten to the situation where that needs to happen, I try to make sure that they block me. So I always consider that a victory, and I took down another troll. He's been a troll of mine for like 2 years, was my biggest fan. I used to tell him that all the time. Like, Travis, you're my biggest fan. But Travis, if you're still out there, because I'm sure you are, and I'm sure you watch me on other platforms, in your 2 years of trolling me, I love you, Travis. I miss you. And I knew it would come to an end one day on Facebook. But hopefully, one of your other identities will start trolling me on one of the other platforms and we'll reunite. But for now, I took out a 2 year troll, and I'm pretty excited about that. This is the least. I don't know. I want to make sure I got everything out about Ruby Ridge that I wanted to get to. Is there any questions that you guys had about Ruby Ridge, or about the video, or about what happened? Anything you want to bring up about any of it? Or any conspiracies you want to get into before we wrap up for the day? This is usually the part where we hang out, discuss any conspiracy. I'm pretty well versed, so challenge me. Um, Ask anything you want about any conspiracy, about Ruby Ridge, about anything at all, and we'll get into it and kick it around. If I don't know a whole lot about it, we'll still play with it, see what we can come up with. I like to experiment with different ideas and different thoughts, and it's fun. So whatever you're into, let me know. Ginger says I have a Republican troll. I appreciate. Yeah, no, I like them. It's fun sometimes, as long as they're not abusive. I won't put up with that. Like if you're just gonna, not that he didn't name call, but if you're just gonna name call for the sake of name calling, I don't even deal with you. Babel says, what was the name of the negotiator at Ruby Ridge? Bo Grits. Yeah, that's it. That's right. He was brought in because they needed somebody that people would listen to. They wouldn't listen to the authority figures. They couldn't get it under control. Well, let's see. I'm going to go back and check the watch party comments. It sucks that I got to go back and forth. And that's just the way it is. Oh. The watch party. I guess it got canceled on QAnon. Did it or not? Alan says that he heard that McVeigh was a 3-letter organization operative. I want to do a video on McVeigh and Oklahoma City bombing and that whole thing. That's why I didn't want to give a full opinion on it. But yeah, I've heard that too. So I want to go way into that and research it and really look into it before I make any further comments about, McVeigh or Oklahoma City. But yeah, it looks like an inside job, Alan. I mean, from what I know, and in the media coverage, there was a lot, just like on 9/11, where they messed up a lot and told about different bombs, plus the physics of it. So there's a lot to get into because you got to remember they're saying that a truck full of explosives, a Ryder truck full of explosives, so like a U-Haul, depending on if you know what Ryder is, like a U-Haul truck filled with explosives, gutted this building. That's not the way it works. Like that damage looks like it came from inside out. I don't know. There's a lot of compelling evidence, more than I could get into off the top of my head, but I want to do a video on it and really dig into it. But there were multiple explosions reported on that day, as well as people told not to come. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. And I do want to get into that in an upcoming episode, and we will. So know that will be coming up. And I've been asked to cover the Mandalay Bay shooting, and I'm going to cover that one too, because that one needs to be looked into, and there's a lot wrong there. But Babel says there were a lot of mattress firm stores in Illinois, all within a few miles of one another, leading some to believe it was a money laundering business. That's an interesting story. Well, what happened with that story? It make you the way you said it, it makes it sound like they figured out that it wasn't, or that it was on the up and up or something. Did Why would there be? There's a place where there's a Starbucks right across the street from another Starbucks. What how does that happen? Why would you do that? And how have they stayed in business right across the street from each other? Ginger said, I was in Oklahoma City the year of the bombing, saw the site, and am from Michigan. What can you tell us about it? BB says you could set up on the phone and tablet and computer to stream and watch multiple platforms. I use my phone and the computer as is. Um, a tablet would be nice. These are all things that we'll get down the road. If you want to help support the shows, there are links in the description for how to do so, because this little hobby of mine is a money pit. So I have a Patreon and a PayPal. You can donate and help us with the shows and help us get equipment. But right now I am using two devices to do it. But hey, Helen, hey, Steven, comment, guys. Anything you want to talk about, any conspiracy at all, we can get into it. We spent a lot of time talking about Ruby Ridge, but we can get into that more. We can talk about the government. We talk about their overreaches of power throughout history. And we don't even have to bring up conspiracies to do it, but we can talk about conspiracies. That's what this show is about, and that's what it's for. So let me know what you want to talk about and what you want to get into. Babel says HARP. Do you guys know about HARP? HARP is for weather modification. You know that thing they say they don't do? That's what HARP is. HARP is how would I explain it in layman's terms what it is? It's a field of antennas that can send a signal up into the ionosphere and tamper with the ionosphere in a way that can result in weather modification. Ginger says Ruby Ridge and Waco seem the same. They're very related, and they happen near the same time, but about a year apart. But they're very similar, the situations there, as well as the aftermath and the outrage caused by both events. They have a lot of similarities. Yeah, Babos has a tablet. I guess I could use Babos' tablet. And then I have a tablet going too, to watch VK. Because eventually I hope to have some Russian fans here kicking it. Because, even my Burns show, I share that to Russia on VK. I think it's relevant. Why wouldn't they want to watch us rise up? America needs to rise up. We gotta rise up. The truth is being killed off in real time. They are getting rid of it. They are eliminating the truth. It is something that is dying and will die if we don't do everything we can to defend it. So you have to support independent journalism. There, I did it. I made it to where you have to support this show. If you like this show and you like shows like this, share it. Ginger said, I missed your video, so you may have said that. We touched on it briefly after the video. I didn't touch on Waco at all in the video. But that video that we watched tonight will be uploaded to the YouTube channel directly after this show. I like for the video to be a show exclusive when it first airs, but it will go up on the YouTube channel and be available to anybody to go there and watch it. Me on Things and Stuff on YouTube. I'd really appreciate that because I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's a big goal for me right now. James says, let's talk about kittens. That would get the viewers up. we get some viewers in here, and my kitten would love it. She's getting to be a cat, so we're going to have to change the name of the show to Petting Cats, but she loves it, and now she's very needy. I sat here and I pet her for an hour and talked about Epstein and how he didn't kill himself. I did it. It took an hour and 2 minutes, but Facebook should drop to zero any second. Oh well, he didn't kill himself. And that's not a conspiracy. It's pretty much public knowledge at this point. Even average people are laughing at the Epstein memes. Everybody knows. My boss is foreign. She's from Belize. She knows. I'm sure she knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Ginger says, I missed your video. Oh, you already read that. Baba says, some think that the antennas are an experimental weapon that can control people's minds. They Babels, you need to watch more conspiracy theories and chill. They do use radio signals to control people's minds. And that could be a purpose for HARP. I wouldn't put anything past them. What they express its purpose is, though, is weather modification, which they say they don't do. Isn't that strange? Even though in the 70s they talked about it openly and would brag about what they could do with weather modification, even bragging about being able to steer hurricanes. Ginger says we all laugh, but it's not funny. It's not funny. None of this is funny. Um, it's awful, and I hate it because we were just building a following, and Ginger knows this. Ginger was at the feed that that went crazy huge. We were building a following. These shows were getting out. We were breaking through, and then all of a sudden, the rug was pulled out by Facebook, and I am throttled endlessly. Like this was growing, and it will grow. I'm not going to stop. They're not going to stop me. But the truth is being suppressed, and we may need to change the name of the show to Pet and Kittens. I didn't name it Conspiracy Theories and Chill on YouTube. I was doing an experiment. I named it Ruby Ridge. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what we do moving forward. I'll come up with things. I won't keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's insanity. But that's why we also stream to multiple platforms now. Ginger says you two are funny. Me and Babels? Hey, Jack. Hey, Nissa, you're back? You may not have ever left. I can't trust the things it shows me on Facebook, but Babel says some believe the chamber behind Mount Rushmore holds some big secrets. That'd be interesting to cover. I hadn't heard about that. See, Babel stumped me. I didn't know about that one. Let me ask you this. I've covered this. Did you know we talked about the radio signals? Montauk. There's still an antenna on Montauk putting out a signal. Well, they were experimenting with using radio signals to control people for mind control. Yeah, Ginger says yes. But no, what else do you guys want to get into? We've only been going for an hour. That would be a short conspiracy theories and chill. Conspiracy theories and chill is usually, a marathon type show. Hey, Cameron. Good to see you guys here. Ginger says call all your videos best cat video. I should. I should. Sometimes I just wish I could not name them at all, not title them anything, not put anything in the description, not even my plugs, just nothing. YouTube makes you title it. I think I could not title it anything on Facebook and not put anything, but I don't think it would matter. I've tried that on Facebook, matter of fact. It doesn't matter. It just, they throttle. I think that it watches for keywords. The I think that it's very sophisticated, much more sophisticated than they'll ever tell us, but they suppress it. They're killing the truth in real time, and corporations are now in charge of censorship, in charge of what gets out and what gets out to who. It's an unfortunate situation. And it isn't funny. It's scary. And we have to do everything we can to defend the truth and stop it from being killed. We have to own this. No matter how you feel politically, we have to own this situation and realize it's ours. Ours to do whatever with. We can sit idly by, let it all happen, or get involved and do something to stop it. But we're on a course for disaster. This does not have a happy ending if we continue the way we're heading. But let me know what you guys want to talk about. Any conspiracy at all? What's on your mind? You know, besides Epstein didn't kill himself. Even if that's what's on your mind, go ahead and say it. I only did that so I could say it again. I'm so tired of being shut down for spreading the truth, talking about real things. And that's stupid to try and shut me down for that. There's memes everywhere. The Jeffrey Epstein memes have come full circle. Now, now on the memes, uh, it just says Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself and like 9/11 was an inside job. It's just they just throw extra truth on him. But that's what I like to do is spread truth. That's what all these little shows are for. James says December 10th should change things. What happens on December 10th? Why is that not ringing a bell for me? Enlighten me. I'm bad with dates. So maybe it should be ringing a bell and just isn't. I need another clue, Alex. It's the wrong show, but you get it. You get what I'm saying. Nissa, if you're still here, we're gonna get to Bigfoot. I'm planning it. So I'll cover any conspiracy theory you guys want on the show. So Ruby Ridge tonight's topic was a recommendation. A viewer asked me to cover that, and like I said, it turned out really good. So I want to cover anything you guys want to see. These shows, every show that I make, is for you guys, the viewers. That's why everything I do is going to be crowdfunded. That's the way I want to do it. I don't want to have uh, ads and corporations supporting me and sponsors that I have to answer to and things I can't cover or things like that. I don't want that. I'd rather just have you be my boss, you know. So be my boss. Support the show. James says YouTube's new rules. Oh, God. It's impossible, right? Uh, I don't understand them fully. Now you have to tell them before a video if it's for kids. You know, I tried marking my channel not for kids, but every video it still asks me if is this for kids. I marked my whole channel not for kids. Nothing I do is for kids. Please don't watch this show, kids. Dangerous truth dropping in here. You don't want to be in here. This is gonna make you fail history. Don't listen to me. You'll fail your history class. You listen to me. But no, Facebook's new rules too, man. It's not just YouTube. It's across the board. They're shutting us down. I'm literally gonna have to call this show Pet and Kittens. We may have to start talking in code. You know what I'm saying? Like start talking in pig Latin, saying everything backwards. Something. Come up with decoder rings and gonna have to get creative with this. I don't know what to do anymore. What do we do? What do we do? You know, is someone gonna make a better platform to share information? Some people have been telling me that, like, don't get down. Something new will come along and everybody will leave Facebook. When? Will they even allow it? Will they decide that Facebook is too big to fail? You know what I'm saying? It's not even crazy to think that they'll decide, nope, we got to save Facebook, keep it going. It's already to the level it should be treated as a public utility. You shouldn't be able to throttle and shut people down and eliminate their voice. Not when there's no other way to share information the way that you're allowed to do it on this platform. Alan says, call it Things to Ponder. That's a good name. I like that. Things to Ponder. Alan says, I'm pretty sure the energized weaponry was a Tesla invention that's being used against us, not what Tesla wanted. A lot of his technology is being used against us. I believe you're right about that. Alan also says, a lot of paperwork was destroyed. I'm sorry I didn't see any of these comments, Alan, which hindered them from getting benefits. I heard that Hillary was also involved. Oh, Hillary's. She's sitting on TV right now saying that people are begging her to run for president. Does nobody want her to run for president at all? The only person that wants Hillary to run for president is Hillary. And I think Hillary don't even really want to run. Hillary got her ass beat. I didn't mean to cuss. I try so hard not to cuss on the air now because one, it was pointed out to me, and two, I'm trying to be professional. These are all professional now. I'm a professional live streamer. James says BitChute. I have to look into it. Is it good? Does it have an audience? Are there people there? Because DTube's also good for content creators as far as their rules and their practices go, but there's nobody there. It doesn't do any good to have a platform that's friendly to content creators and supports the truth and doesn't support censorship if no one's there watching it. Why don't these other take off? Don't you wonder that? Is Facebook CIA? Is Google? Is everything at this point? What have they infiltrated? What haven't they? Well, Babel says Ong's hat would be a good conspiracy. Ong's hat? What is that? How are you stumping me twice in one episode? What are you taking me to school tonight? You're in there with the computer. This ain't fair. You're cheating. Cheating in there in the other room. That ain't right. I'm gonna use my computer. I'm gonna come up with something you ain't heard of. I got two computers in front of me right now. But I'm flipping back and forth, looking to see what you guys are commenting and talking about. But let me know anything you want to get into. I don't know about Ong's hat, Babels. You gotta give me something I know, and we can talk about it. But anything at all. We do this every week at 8 p.m. Central. So we'll be back next week at 8 p.m. Central for a new episode. And I don't have a topic yet. So I don't have a topic in mind for next week. We could do a guest. We could have an interview. We could do pretty much anything. So anything you want to see, anything you want to hear about, let me know. And we'll cover it maybe next week, maybe in an upcoming episode. You never know. Whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. That was loud. But BB and Sean looks like they just showed up. I don't know if they just showed up or if I'm just seeing it. I can't tell anymore on Facebook. I'm so frustrated with Facebook. About done with Facebook. You know what I mean? If I could be. Kind of can't be. Unfortunately. Babel says, just giving you my ideas, my loves. The egg, which allowed people to travel to alternate universes. Ong's hat or the egg, are those two different things? Why is it hiding this message? I'm going to show this. I might get banned from YouTube because I don't know why it flagged this. James says, not many peeps on BitChute and it's harder to use. Why'd that get flagged? Is it because YouTube doesn't want people to know about BitChute? They didn't flag it the first time you said BitChute. Or do they not like that you're talking bad about BitChute? What is it? What is it, Mr. Man? What was James not allowed to say in that sentence? They've hid dollar signs before. A supporter of the show, Kathy, she was here and commented dollar signs when I was talking about, I think, Israel and They took all her comments down and kicked her from the feed. It's weird. It's a weird and scary time we're living in. But this has been Conspiracy Theories and Chill. This is a weekly show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central. Let me know what you want to get into next week, because like I said, I don't have a topic picked out yet. But thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for sharing if you did. And like I said, support the shows. Donate or become a contributor on Patreon. Patreon's really cool. It's a good site for crowdfunding and for supporting independent shows. So check me out on there. And I really appreciate you watching. I'll see you next week on the next episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill.